Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Gems and Entertainment. And welcome to the conversation. Just before we get started, there are many ways you can help. You can like and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. But most importantly, please share this video. Get the word out there's a community we can talk about all the things that we love. Today on Throwback Thursday, we're looking at Braveheart, starring Mel Gibson, Catherine McCormick, Brendan Gleeson, Tommy Flanagan, Angus McFadden, Stephen Billington, Sophie Marceau, sorry for mispronouncing your name, Peter Hanley, Patrick McGoohan, Brian Cox, this is the other movie I said he'd be in, James Cosmo, John Cavanaugh, Alan Armstrong, and David O'Hara. So I'm still continuing the theme I've been doing since Troy, but this one starts a new theme. You'll find out what it is next week. This one largely takes place in Scotland in the 1300s, and at least the movie's saying this is one of the Scottish Wars for Independence. Just before we get to that, this movie opens up with gorgeous, sweeping shots of the Scottish Highlands, playing the amazing music of James Horner, and the rest of the movie is wonderfully shot as well. After the scenic overview of Scotland, we are brought to the Wallace family that consists of Malcolm, John, and William. Malcolm is the father, John's the older brother, and William is the star of the movie. He's only about 8 or so here. His father and brother are off to a meeting of the Scottish nobles who were called by the English for a truce. Long story short, the English are the bad guys in this movie. They betray the meeting of truce and they dispatch everyone that goes to this meeting, with the exception of William's father and brother. That happens later. His father and brother go out to fight and they unfortunately die, and they come back, they have a funeral, and afterwards his uncle Argyle comes by because he's the only family he has left and he's got to look after him. They don't show the life that William has between leaving with his uncle and when the little boy becomes Mel Gibson ultimately. That would have been interesting little montage that they could have done, but this is a 3-hour movie. It's a good 3-hour movie. Maybe they could have taken 5 minutes out of something else to make a montage of William growing up, because in the short time that Argyle is on screen, it's only when he comes to take his nephew to teach him how to read, write, speak other languages, how to think, and also how to fight. So it would have been interesting to see like a 5-minute montage of that. William comes back to Scotland from his traveling abroad, and he just wants a peaceful life. And there's a woman that he's been in love with since childhood, and he just wishes to court her and marry her and start a family with her. Despite the fact that there are rumblings within the Scottish commoners and even among the nobles about what they want to do about England. The nobles, for the most part, are just backstabbing jerks, and they squabble and deal with Edward the Longshanks, the King of England at this time, making it even more difficult for the Scots to win their freedom, because they're not only fighting the English, they're also fighting their own noble, who are a bunch of spineless cowards. William marries his love Maren in secret because Edward the Longshanks has reenacted an old law called Prima Nocturne, which is just First Night, I think, that he translated it to in the movie. Basically what it is, English lords have the right to take a newly wedded woman of a common Scotsman and bed her on her wedding night. It's a horrible, disgusting thing, because the whole idea is, and Longshanks says this in a meeting with his council, if we can't get them out, we breed them out. It's a disgusting thing to do. They really make you hate the English in this movie, or at least a caricature of the English. The reason why William Wallace ultimately decides to fight the English is his wife is assaulted by British soldiers. He saves her, and in their escape, she does get captured, and the magistrate of this area, appointed by the king, kills his wife just so he can get to William. It works, and it really backfires on this guy. And from there, William amasses his own army. He even works with the nobles And it's interesting watching this movie unfold. The battle scenes are pretty cool. Brutal, but cool. And seeing the politics play out. It's despicable politics. It's not politics you can root for at all, because all it really is just screwing over the common person just so these nobles can have more land and money. It's despicable. There is one among them who is in line for the crown of Scotland, and that is Robert the Bruce. And he has an interesting story. I'm not going to get into it because he has a pretty cool story arc. But my other favorite character, other than William Wallace, is Stephen. No, I'm not talking about me because I always refer to myself as Steve. That's my preferred name. And this guy's Irish, which I am mostly Irish. This character is hilarious because he's constantly speaking to God out loud, and people are trying to figure out if he's like actually talking with God or if he's just crazy. And who's to say that it's not both? The way he even introduces himself, it's him and another guy that have come to join William Wallace. But Stephen, he's talking up a big game, and eventually he gets on everyone's nerves and he pulls a knife on them and threatening one of Wallace's men. And he points out that he's smart enough to get a dagger past the guards that checked him. And then he introduces himself and says, "Stephen is my name, and I'm the most wanted man on my island. But I'm not on my island. More's the pity." I'll see if I can find just that clip and I'll put it in the description below because it's hilarious. I always have a blast when I watch this movie, and I know you will too, and that's why I recommend you get this on Blu-ray. Those are my thoughts on Braveheart. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and live your imagination.